people from my part of the world, or lots of parts of the world, sometimes are rejected because either they are doing or they did something that their family doesn't approve, or they have to be and pretend to be somebody that they are not. So there's a lot of mental health issues and stuff that come from not being able to be who you are. And sometimes when you decide to be who you are, to kind of become authentic, your authentic self, there are huge consequences. One of them is the fact that you could be cut off, or your family can disown you. That's what happened to me 9 years ago. It's been 9 years. What I experienced was that when my family disowned me, I had an identity crisis, meaning that I was in my 40s, I was already grown person, I had a partner, I was expecting my first child, I was working, I actually kind of at 40, I actually transitioned from a kind of that survival, coming from war, and coming to Europe with nothing, and going through the system and getting, living as undocumented, and then getting documentation, and finally at 40 deciding, okay, I have done my bit, now I am going to do the things that make me happy and make me kind of the things that ring true to me. So at the time, I didn't realize, and now looking back, I can see that when we are part of a group, when we are part of a tribe meaning I'm a Somali, so I am part of a tribe, but generally speaking, tribe meaning your own circle or your own group or your family, when you are part of that, even though you don't see them a lot, and sometimes even though you're not the same opinion all the time or have a similar outlook in life, there's a comfort in knowing that there's a group of people who have your back all the time. And I have wonderful friends and also family members that I'm close to that have my back. But losing, oh, that was a fly, it's very hot. Losing my family made me realize, it just made me kind of lose faith in connection. It made me lose faith in people. And so some time ago, I felt that after therapy and doing a lot of work, self-healing, understanding trauma, affirmations, practicing self-love, one of the things I realized, actually my aunt who brought me up was married to an Italian in the 70s in Somalia, and my father, who passed away after having me, I'm the youngest in my family, she brought me up, her and her Italian husband brought me up when I was very young. And I remember it now that actually when my aunt married this Italian man who's also my dad, I call him dad, my father actually cut her off and he disowned her and he didn't want to have anything to do with her. And in the last 8 years, I mean, I grew up with this story, I knew this story, but I never paid attention so closely to the way I paid attention recently, which meant that trauma is generational. The decision that my dad took almost 50 years ago to cut his sister off because she married she married somebody who was not acceptable to the family and to the culture, the same thing happened to me 10 years ago. So like 40 years later, my siblings did the same thing. And I just felt, I don't know why I don't know why I didn't make the connection, these two things. I didn't connect these two things. It just kind of floored me. And in the past, I speak about accepting my pain, but now I can say that I have almost gone to a second stage where I have not only accepted my previous pain and the pain that comes in a kind of moments when you are less expected, and you have, you know, your kid come to you and ask you something about your family and stuff, and you're like, how do I explain this now? And that kind of always reminds you of something. It reminds me of the loss. It reminds me of something that I don't have anymore. But on the flip side, on the other side, I can also look at these moments and also realize and explain to my child what's happening without giving too many details, and without kind of really bring them into something that they don't have anything to do with. When the time is right, they would know. I will tell them. I'm honest, I don't hide. But it kind of made me rethink all of the stuff that I have gone through, and it made me appreciate our resilience, how resilient we are as people, where we come from, the hardships we have gone through, wars, coming to a different continent, learning different languages. We are resilient people, and often we carry with us the past and the generational trauma that we have been brought up with, and it shows that sometimes our pain is there, dormant maybe, that sometimes our pain is there and we think that we have forgiven, and I have forgiven, but I realized that I haven't forgiven enough, and the person I haven't forgiven, I think it's probably me, how this affected me. Because sometimes when you're in the middle of these experiences, you forget that because you are so concentrated and you're putting all your effort into recovering, into feeling good, into dealing with this, into overcoming, into thriving, that sometimes you don't take a minute to actually realize, it's been hard, it's been tough, and I see you, I feel you, I know what you've been through. And the last couple of months had allowed me to go back to this and kind of really reacquaint myself with this part of me that kind of was really tough and strong and dealing and, being very rational and, practical and therapy, do this, steps, get out of it, yes. And all that is good, it's amazing. I think without that, it's really, the other side is not really good, it doesn't look good. But at the same time, we need to take time to appreciate and to even sit with the pain and just feel the sadness and see it as love, see it as something that's warming your heart, seeing as a feeling that is allowing you to go inward and reconnect with yourself in a deeper level. Because I thought that I really reconnected with myself and I was living my authentic life, and I am living my authentic life. But the last couple of months made me realize that there's different layers of authentic self connection and feeling belonging and feeling great in your own skin and feeling that you're being listened to, that you heard yourself, that you accept all the good things and the not so good things in you, that you accept that one day you could have a bad day and not feel like, oh my God, now I have to do something about it. No. Sit with your emotions, accept where you are, the season of life that you're living, your journey. Stay present. I was feeling guilty that I was letting myself down and that I was not doing what I was supposed to do, the promise I made for myself. And it's okay. I broke a promise to myself. I'm still here. I will be probably breaking these promises again to myself at some point, and it's okay to not give ourselves hard time for it. Number one, healing is not linear, and healing from trauma is definitely not linear. One day you are fantastic for some time in your life, you are wonderful, until you hit that stone where it's like, woo, okay, something is there and you have to deal with it again. But know that it's possible. You can deal with it, accept it, appreciate the lesson, and see what you can learn from it, and what you can gather, the tools that you can gather from that will take you to your next step. Number two, as you're going through this season of your life, accept uncertainty. Uncertainty is something that as human beings we are not equipped and we're not brought up, especially I think if you're Western, if you're in the West or have a Western view of life, I think uncertainty is definitely something that's really hard. It's hard for everybody, but I think I come from a background where I kind of let it be and let the universe take care of it. Mentality is, philosophy is wonderful. It's really good for when things are not working and when things are not going the way you want them to go, and you're frustrated with life or frustrated with what's happening in your situation. If you can accept and learn how to accept uncertainty, I think the journey becomes easier. You will accept and you will learn things faster, and you would get to the other side faster. And for anyone who experienced and knows something about generational trauma, it takes a long time, and especially if you are the person who has to break those chains, remember that you also are a human being. Give yourself grace, give yourself self-compassion, and everything has its own course, and you never know. The pain that you're experiencing could be what brings you the biggest, the happiest, the joyous time of your life. And you may live like that for the rest of your life. So love yourself. Give yourself self-compassion. Know that with self-compassion, you will go a long way, and the journey would be a smooth and pleasant journey. Until we meet again, bye-bye, subscribe and like. Ciao.